You know what to do. Come on, let's go. Come on. Hey everybody, it's Ryan. Welcome back to How Farms Work. We are hopping in the Gator because we are heading out to one of a farm that Travis and I actually share. And we are gonna go see how the moisture is doing. Hopefully the moisture isn't too high. What we're kind of thinking right now is that if it is relatively high, we'll probably run it through and then bring it back to the main farm where we'll dump it into that smaller bin and run some air on it if we have to dry it down. Looking at the forecast, things aren't looking too good as far as what things are going to do in the next week or two. Basically, they're saying a chance of rain every day in the forecast. So the weather is pretty good right now. There's a slight breeze and it's a little bit colder today, but hopefully the moisture has dropped down to a reasonable level. So we're going to be using the 7600 today. I just got done registering the truck and doing the insurance for it. I'm getting a call right now, which is probably for something related to that. So I'm going to take this call and then we're going to head out up to that farm. Travis already left with the combine. The bean head is already there. Finally, I get to harvest some crops of my own because we haven't taken out any of my crops yet. I know most of my videos are usually a little bit more dynamic, and the reason that this one isn't going to be is because I'm occupied. So it's one of the reasons I like running a grain cart, because you aren't as occupied, so I can get those shots that you guys yearn for. But right now it's yielding 59.2 bushel the acre. This field in particular is 26.5 acres. And moisture is running about 14.2% average, which is a little high, but we are going to move it back to the small grain bin at the main farm. Probably one of the coolest features on this monitor is the ability to track not only the yield but the moisture as well. Here we got the yield, and you can set the legend up how you want. You can see where it's yielding best in the field. As you can see up along the fence row there, it wasn't yielding quite as well as it is where we are now, which these are some pretty fine looking beans if I say so myself. And let's go back and look at the moisture. So now looking here, I can kind of look back and follow our path that we've taken so far. We've done one lap around this lower strip, and I can tell you that as the day or the night has gone on, I can tell that the moisture in the beans has been kind of coming down. When we first started, it was tickling 16. We had actually come out here and tried doing this a couple days ago, and I had posted it to Snapchat, and people were saying, why don't you keep going? Because I had said 14%, we'll try again another day. The 14% was the average that we had seen so far, but there were areas that were tickling 16. and that was a little bit too high for me. Actually, I think it was actually tickling 17. It was up in the 16% range, and I'm confident that we can lower the moisture down by at least 1% in the reasonable amount of time in the bin, and just 17 was just too much. But now I noticed that, yeah, we're still averaging around 14%, but we're not really seeing any of those spots that were 17, except for this, like right here across the field road. We had gone into it just a little bit on each side, and it was hitting 17. So we're gonna try to do that last. Just gonna do this up on top of the hill here, and then I'll probably move down and do the lower strip, because that's yielding all right, and we'll just kind of see how much we can get done. So not sure where Travis is. We're actually pretty close to the main farm, so using the tractor to move the grain really isn't that big of an issue. When we move to my other field, we might be using the truck to do that. So keep an eye out. I'm confident that we'll probably be using it yet this harvest. So I plugged it. Wouldn't be the first time tonight. Now, I'll do as I say, not as I do. Always make sure that you shut the motor off. Since it's being nighttime, I need to see what I'm doing. I dug that little bit out and I reversed the head and kicked what was left out, and then she powered through it when I ran it forward. So we're gonna keep running. Plugging the head is something that's actually fairly common. I don't know if it is for other people, but it is pretty common for us after dark when harvesting soybeans. I'm actually, I don't know if you guys can hear that or not, but I was letting it. Basically, once the sun goes down, the beans start to get tough. I could tell as soon as the sun went under that I couldn't drive as fast as I could before, and now I'm barely struggling to go 1.5 miles an hour. So basically, once the sun goes down, beans start to get tough. Not just the actual beans themselves, but the plants. They just soak up the moisture. It's in the air, and what tends to happen is when you get bunches of it down in the head, what'll happen is it'll bunch up and then it won't go through the feeder house. So you have to unplug the feeder house. Sometimes it's worse than others. That was not a bad one. So I wasn't feeling too good when we were up on this top strip. It was yielding, the average was 57, but we got to one part in it and the beans were yielding like 40, just constantly straight 40. And let me tell you what, it really takes the fun out of harvesting when you can see what you're receiving, I guess. But when you can actually tell that, like right now it's doing 70 bushels the acre, it really adds a whole lot of fun to it as well. Right now we're sitting right around 13.5% moisture. That's basically perfect. So we're gonna throw them in that bin and we are gonna run some air on them for a little bit. And then once I'm ready to sell them, which I will probably do with my truck once I get all the paperwork figured out, then I'll probably haul it down myself, and that'll save me up to 20 cents a bushel. Now, I'm not real sure why this is, but for some reason, and this is just soybeans overall. Now, you'll be driving along, harvesting, and the beans will look fantastic. They'll look great. They'll be standing straight up, and they'll have 3 pods all the way down, and they'll only yield 45 bushels the acre. But then you get to another spot that looks like a complete disaster area, like someone dropped a bomb in the field, and that area will yield 70 bushels the acre. You tell me. Like this right here, this looks fantastic, and it's only yielding 49 now. 48. It'd help if the light on the end of our auger worked. We're not totally sure what the deal is with the light on the end of the auger and the light in the grain tank. We were having some issues earlier in harvest. Yeah, it looks like it's the same wire. Must have broken or something. We're down to what is the last 4 acres on this farm. So far the average is right around 58. Moisture is 13.9, which isn't too bad considering it's going in the bin. And it is currently like 10 or 10:30 at night, I think. I don't know. We gotta keep going. Well, it is now 1 o'clock in the morning. They're calling for rain tomorrow night, so if we can, we're going to try to finish my other 30-acre field tomorrow. And depending on if we can get started relatively early or not, you know, we might be able to get it done. But just kind of depends on what the weather does. Mother Nature is a fiend. So, not sure if he's planning on pulling that down or not. He just said he was going to leave it up, but looks to me like he's pulling it down.